call from
Jacob's Goodwin.
an inmate at Albemarle, Charlottesville Regional Jail. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press or say 9. We are unable to complete this call as a collect call. Please stay on the line for a one-time complimentary call provided by Inmate Calling Solutions. At the end of your call, you will be automatically connected to our call center so that you may make payment arrangements, allowing you to receive future calls from
Jacob's Goodwin.
an inmate at Albemarle, Charlottesville Regional Jail. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. You may begin speaking now.
Hello?
Hey, Jacob Scott Goodwin, I would ask you how you're doing, but I don't imagine you're doing too good in a hellhole prison.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's good to hear your voice, man. I hope you're maintaining your sanity.
Yes, sir, I'm trying.
So is this thing going to give me a chance to put more money on the phone? Because they're only going to give us a few seconds, right?
Yeah, they're going to give us 60 seconds. At the end of the call, it'll prompt you. And then, I don't know, I haven't really asked how it works, but I think it might ask for a card, or you might just be able to do like a one-time thing or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know at the end of the call I will.
All right, I will.
Do you want me to call you back?
Yeah, if you can and you desire to, I would love for you to call me back, and I'd love to hear your story. I think there's a need to get your story out there because the Southern Poverty Law Center and mainstream media is doing a number on you and your family, and it's just making me sick. But I would love to hear the truth from you, and I'd like for people to get to know you and hear your story, man.
Well,
Please stand by to be connected to the customer service center. Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Jacob's Goodwin.
an inmate at Albemarle, Charlottesville Regional Jail. Your account balance is $15. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press or say. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hello?
Hey, Jacob, it's good to hear your voice, and I just put $15 on just to see if it worked. Of course, they charge me taxes and fees. It's a satanic system, but your family,
Oh, I bet.
yeah, your family must have to pay through the nose to be able to talk to you. But we need to get you out of there so you know nobody has to pay like $20 to have a phone conversation with you.
Oh, yeah, it usually costs about $4 or a little under for a 15-minute phone call.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, that's no problem, man. And I know we haven't met before, but just to introduce myself real quickly, and I want this to be your phone call, and I want to use this time wisely. And if you need to call back, it's up to you. Certainly feel free to always call me anytime you want to. I have a prison ministry out of Texas. We've been doing this for several years. And the way you probably should think of me is not only your friend. I mean, what good can I do? I'm not a lawyer. I can't get you out of prison. But if you have a message you want to get out to the world, I'm pretty good about recording phone calls and putting it up on a website. And I don't want to censor you. So you say whatever the hell you want to say, and you tell the truth the way you want it told, and we'll try to break through the Southern Poverty Law Center and mainstream media that seems to want to, put a different spin on this thing. I got to tell you, this guy, DeAndre Harris, got $166,000 on GoFundMe. You got 8 years in prison. There's something terribly wrong,
I just got a message from a person in Charlottesville. Some just average citizen from Charlottesville sent me a letter and said, she's sorry about what happened. She said her town has gone to hell, and she sees Long and Harris walking around town, their pants sagging, and that he's recently going on vacation to Virginia Beach. I'm like, well, that's nice because I'm going to prison.
Yeah. It's something's terribly wrong, terribly, terribly wrong. And I got to tell you, that video of DeAndre Harris swinging that flashlight at that old man, it's very hard to even find it. I didn't even know about it until somebody brought it to my attention, and I had to go seek it out. But, the video of him laying on the ground, the aftermath is easily findable. And the full story is definitely not out there.
Yeah, it's because there's a lot of effort to make it so,
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, it was a 6-second event that happened, and I've talked to my dad since he went on the radio, and he kind of told me pretty much what he was saying, just the gist of it, and the fact that we're getting arrested and literally no one on the other side is, and we're the animals here, we're the demons here,
Right. Well, and what's amazing to me is it appears he's the one who started it. They were trying to take the man's flag, and regardless of what anybody believes about the flag, I got my opinion, you got yours, somebody else might have their opinion. Nobody has the right to take another person's belongings, and then he swung a flashlight at him. They were the one to draw first blood. You guys are the ones who had the permit, is what I was told, and then they only focus on the aftermath. And it appears this DeAndre Harris character isn't what everybody thinks he is. The poor victim that got beat up. Yeah.
And we proved in court that whenever we went to the trial, the jury didn't care. The jury could not care less. They were rolling their eyes at my lawyer the entire time, and he went up on the stand, and we just pointed out lie after lie after lie. He said someone handed him the flashlight, and then he said he threw the flashlight, and then we showed a picture. Well, here's you with the flashlight. Well, what were you using that shirt in your hand for? Well, I was using it to wipe sweat, and then we showed that he was using it actually as a mask. He was wearing a mask, and they told us there's a mask law in effect. We couldn't wear masks, and then we asked him, okay, were you around when Mr. Preston fired the shot at Corey Long with the flamethrower? He said, no, I wasn't anywhere near that. We showed the jury a picture of DeAndre Harris standing literally elbow to elbow with him when that happened. I mean, he just lied and he lied, and it didn't matter to the jury. I was
Jacob.
The wolves, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you, and feel free. And if you want anything you want to get out, I want you to get out. But this whole thing about firing a shot and the flamethrower, can you elaborate on that? On who was doing what with a flamethrower and a gun? Because I don't understand that. I've heard people talk about it, and you've been living this, so you know everything, like all the details. But what's the story on the flamethrower and the gun? I don't understand that at all.
Okay, so when we were in the park, and they started, the leftist terrorists started rioting. They were picking up mailbox stands, and they were hurling all manner of objects at us. I was hit with human waste. They had to shoot tear gas into the crowd to get them to disperse. They told us it was unlawful assembling to leave. So when we tried to leave, they pretty much surrounded us and were attacking us as we were leaving. And that's 30 minutes from that's when my altercation happened. Well, while I was still in the park, when people were coming out the back exit of the park, we were coming out in a big stream. Well, this guy ran up with a paint thinner can and a lighter and was shooting using it as a makeshift flamethrower at people trying to leave. On the other side, there's police in riot gear pushing us into them. So we have nowhere to go. And then a man named Richard Preston saw what was going on, pulled out a gun, and he used some rhetoric that was not tasteful, but it got his attention, and he said, don't put it down. And he looked at him, and then he lit it up again and shot a flame again, and then he shot a hole in the ground, and he took off running. He put his gun away and left. Well, they just gave him 4 years for that. Wow.
They gave him 4, but the guy was threatening with a flamethrower, and he was being pushed into that area. So there was it sounds like from what I've heard, that the cops didn't try to keep order or any sort of order at all. They almost wanted to incite some sort of altercation between the two groups.
There's a document called the Heafy Report. They got this guy named Tim Heafy. I forget what he actually is, but he was a private investigator, and he has credentials pretty much. His word pulls some sway. They got him to do a report on how they handled it, and the chief of police literally said, "I give you guys all a stand on order. Do not stand down. Don't engage them, and let them fight. It will be easier for us to declare an unlawful assembly." So he literally said, "Let them fight."
Wow. Let them fight. So let me go back to the flamethrower again. The guy who shot the hole in the ground, his name was, what's his name?
His name is Richard Preston.
And he got 4 years in prison. And what about the guy with the flamethrower? Do we know his name?
His name is Corey Long. He originally had like 3 charges or something. Now, he was also involved. There's 4 people. There's Vaughn Long, There's Corey Long, DeAndre Harris, a guy named Donald Blakeney who's got a charge pending right now, and another guy. There's 5 of them, 5 African American males.
Okay.
They were all day. They know each other personally, I think, except for Blakeney. Blakeney said he came to town to panhandle, so I think he's homeless or something. But they were all day. They were in a big group working together. They all knew each other, and they were involved in a flamethrower incident, and they were involved in a big brawl in the garage.
But so you guys were leaving. You guys were leaving the event, going back to your cars. It's not like you were, trying to incite anything. They were chasing you and trying to intimidate you. I saw the baseball bats and the sticks. I mean,
we had that too. But here's the thing: on our side, which when I say we, I use it very, generally because there was a plethora of political ideologies there. So
right.
Unite the Right.
Right.
So when I say we, I just mean the protesters.
Yeah.
So anyways, we went to the police. I want to say a group went to the police. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember which one it was, but they went to the police and were like, can we bring shields? Can we bring head protection? Because these people are known for using baseball bats, tear gas, and putting bike locks in socks. And they also put on the internet, we are going to shut you down by all means necessary. They were not hiding it. And so, some of the event organizers were saying, hey, you might want to protect your head or your eyes because these people are, they're openly strategizing on shutting us down. With violence, being terrorists.
Right. Right.
So, from my point of view, they declared unlawful assembly. The police got in riot gear, pushed us out of the park into them. I turn around, I see a woman getting beaten with all manner of sticks and stuff. She's pepper sprayed. I have to run, and this is on YouTube, you can go see it. I run down the stairs and I picked up a shield, and I ran down the stairs and put my shields around her because she was getting beaten by this mob. A woman, she's a middle-aged woman. I didn't know who she was, but I thought she was getting beaten. I was like, oh my God. So I pushed her through. She was screaming something about she's looking for her son, and I was like, move on. He can handle himself. And when I get to the garage where my car was, that's when all the fighting starts. I was actually turned around to, someone told me, they said, look, man, if we stay here, they're going to vandalize our cars. There's a giant mob following us right now. And they were throwing bottles at us, threatening us, calling us all manner of things while we were walking away. They followed us like 6 blocks while we were walking away. And I finally stopped in the garage, and a man said, hey, we got to keep going because they're going to vandalize our vehicles.
Well, that's a very good point. I never thought of that. You definitely wouldn't want to get in your car because they would tear up your car.
Exactly. And so I turned to keep going, and then that's when the cruise incident happened. And then a guy named, I want to say Alec, he was getting beaten 5-on-1 by the same group of 5 guys. After that happened with Cruz, someone ran up and pepper sprayed DeAndre Harris. When he pepper sprayed DeAndre Harris, after he smashed him in the head with a mag light, he spun around. Well, I'm in the garage, looking in the garage at this point, and there's a guy on the ground with a white bicycle helmet, and he's getting beat on. And there's like 4 cameramen or news media or whatever standing there watching him, filming him getting beat on. So I kind of moved in between them because they're just standing there. I'm not going to let this guy just get beat 5-on-1. I was going to break it up. And then as soon as I clear them, Harris, who's pepper sprayed at this time, I found that out, through the trial that he was pepper sprayed, comes barreling at me, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's attacking me.
Yep.
So that's what started the whole thing. Like, he got pepper sprayed because he smashed that guy in the head, and the judge on his trial, pretty much, first he had a malicious wounding charge. The prosecutor who wanted to give me, over 10 years in prison for this, he dropped his charges. He drops his charges to a misdemeanor, and then when he gets to trial, he prosecutes him very weakly, and the judge says, well, I see he did nothing wrong that day.
Incredible. You ever heard of a news organization called Democracy Now?
Oh, yeah, they're very, very communist.
Yes. Their reporting of this, Jacob, starts, and that she even says it. It starts with the videotape, and it says it starts with a man on the ground, and it shows him getting kicked or whatever. And it's such a blatant lie because it doesn't start with a man on the ground. It starts, about.
It starts with 5 or 10 people following these people who were not from this state, going back to their car because the police told them disperse. I was going back to my car, and so were all the other people, and they couldn't just let us leave. They told us to leave. The counter-protesters didn't want us there, so we went to leave, but they had to follow us and fight us. And fights were breaking out left and right. That wasn't the only fight. One old man fell down the street, and a bunch of commies ran up and kicked this guy in his face. Old man with a beard.
Wow.
There was fights breaking out all over the place. And my charge, malicious wounding, it reads to permanently maim, disable, wound, or kill with malicious intent, but not merely temporarily maim, wound, and you have to be in a rational state of mind. Now, I just been tear gassed the first time in my life. I've been pepper sprayed. There's fights everywhere. There's a literal riot going on, a state of emergency. How am I or anyone else in this situation supposed to be in a rational state of mind?
Yeah. It is just it's a serious, tragic, just miscarriage of justice. I can't use enough negative words to describe you getting 8 years in prison for this situation. That other guy, I want to make sure I get my facts straight, but this James Fields Jr. that drove his car into a crowd, and I guess it resulted in the death of Heather Heyer. You did not know him, right? You weren't even...
No, I've never met that guy, and I didn't even know who he was. And, of course... that was, I think, an hour or 2 hours.
Remaining.
His charade was 2 hours after my altercation. I was already gone at that point, I think.
Okay.
I already gotten left.
I see. Well, we're going to run out of time. If you have time, I'd love for you to call me back, and I'd love to hear more of what you got to say. And I want to ask you how you think people can help you other than just spreading the truth of the event and the miscarriage of justice. But definitely, if you have time, call me back, and I want to help get the story out because I think it's terrible that you're going to be that you have been sentenced to prison for 8 freaking years, man. It's just insanity.
Yeah, and I'm going to be on parole until, or not parole, probation until I'm 36, and I won't be on good behavior until I'm 50, pretty much. I got 20 years of good behavior.
Wow, that's crazy, Jacob.
$5,000 fine.
Did you have a prior criminal record at all?
No, sir. I've never even jaywalked.
We live in the most insane world I can possibly imagine. We got to do something to get the truth out, and I look forward to you calling me back, Jacob.
All right, I'll call you right back.
Okay. Bye. All right. Bye.
Prepaid call from
Jacob's Goodwin.
an inmate at Albemarle, Charlottesville Regional Jail. Your account balance is $11.85. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hello again.
Hey, Jacob. So let me just summarize what I know, and you tell me if I'm on track or off track. But so you decide to go to this protest where I guess they're removing a statue of Robert E. Lee. Is that true? They're going to remove his statue. So you're going to, I guess, protest that event?
Well, they were at the time. The city council here in this town is extremely radical leftist. If you want to know the extent of how bad this town is, you can look up the fact that there's a group called SARA, Sexual Assault Resource Agency. They came to this town to 9th grade girls, and they sat them down in a classroom. I think it was 2 classes, and they showed them how to object sexual penetrate men, and they gave them classes on how to achieve sexual pleasure, and they gave them coupons for adult toys. These are 9th grade girls. So
wow.
They're like 16.
Incredible.
And it was all over the media here. And, city councilors here, it's a circus. The city council here, all they do is sit here and bash the police, and they try to, enact socialist, Democrat, policies.
And you say this town, you're talking about Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So go. Let's go back to the statue. So I want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You drove with your friend because you were going to protest, and the Unite the Right was basically what was some of the themes of that protest? Protest the removal of the statue, and what other themes were people there for that day?
Okay, so it was pretty much, I guess, three-prong attack, pretty much. You have the statue that was being taken down. The city council was trying to change the name of the park and take the statue down. And they also put a shroud on it after Charlottesville, which was, against the law. They defied federal law. But then you had a guy named Jason Kessler, who is, shrouded in his own, controversy. But he had found some posts that Wes Bellamy, who was the vice mayor at this time or whatever, on city council, he was making tons of anti-white racial tweets and stuff like, white women are the devil. I love it living in the South when a short white man looks up to a black man. Just other things too. He was just eccentric.
Yeah, we got some folks like that in Dallas too, by the way. But okay.
Oh yeah, well, my brother lives close by there.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that cop getting shot recently, I'm sure doesn't help things. Or that cop shooting that guy in his apartment recently doesn't help things.
Right.
But
yes.
It was that Wes Bellamy being anti-white and him not being removed from the stand. He's actually encouraged. They encourage him.
Right.
And I'm like, if the shoe was on the other foot, they would take this guy out to a lamppost and flay his skin off his body.
Yes.
And so then there was a statue, and then a lot of people, this is called Unite the Right. It was for a lot of people who were, conservative or, had civic nationalist tendencies or ethno-nationalist tendencies. It was everyone on the right to come and to come together as one in this country because, we're being censored on every media platform and everything. And it was a three-pronged pretty much event. And it got, subverted. The message got clouded, of course, by the media.
Okay, so you show up, and I mean, there's a permit on the people that I don't know. Let's call them I don't know the proper way to refer to them, but other than the licensed protesters, because you guys were issued an official permit, right? And then there were the unlicensed protesters. I mean, if you're going to show up to counter protest something, you should go to the city just like you guys did, or whoever did with your group, and get a permit, and you can show up the next day, right? And you can voice their opinion, whatever their opinion is, right?
Exactly. And this is my belief. This is where I stand on the issue. I'm not a violent person. I've never had a problem with violence. I don't have a criminal record. And I can talk to anybody. I can go talk to people who want to argue anything on the political spectrum. But at any point, another man, or I guess woman for that nature, but any man wants to come across and use terror or terrorism to inflict his mind point upon me, I'm going to defend myself. I'm not going to stand for it.
Amen.
It's not the man my father raised.
Amen. That's the way it should be. I mean, that's the way that many of us were raised. Is that we don't advocate for violence, but if somebody issues violence against us, then we need to defend ourselves. So you were there. There's obviously no effort by the police to try to keep the two groups apart. It's almost like they wanted altercations to occur.
Well, I have proof, and I can send it to you, or I can get you in contact with people who could send you, a full document on the what happened that day. But Wes Bellamy, the church here in Charlottesville, there's a group called Congregate Charlottesville, and it is a collection of clergymen, but it's a front. They're all politically based. That day they had a huge march. It started at the church. There was this guy who was a black nationalist, and the morning he gave this sermon, he said, "Well, I'm not here for love. I'm a love warrior. I came here. We can't fight hate with hugs." And he's preaching this and then riling up this congregation, and then they all get in a giant, Selma-style march and march to the center of where we are, and the police give them an escort, and they are not a permitted protest. They don't do anything for us, and the mayor and all the people who are involved with them, Don Gathers, they march them. They give them escort to the park, and they're not even a permitted, protest.
Incredible. I mean,
they let us get attacked by every manner, and then they push us into the protesters, and when we get in a fight, we defend ourselves, and they send us to prison.
Right. Right. And then you have Democracy Now! And Southern Poverty Law Center that spins the whole thing and puts out all of these reports, of just the opposite. DeAndre Harris gets $166,000 of GoFundMe. You get 8 years in prison. Who else got prison sentences besides you? And do we know who they're?
So Alex Michael Ramos, he's a Puerto Rican guy. They're trying to say he's a white nationalist, racist, and all this. He hit DeAndre Harris one time. They gave him 4 years, 6 years in prison. The jury recommended 6. The judge gave him 9 but suspended 3, which that's illegal. He went above the jury's recommendation. Richard Preston, he got 4 years for firing a gun near a school. That's what they got him for. They didn't get him for endangering the public or anything like that. They got him for shooting next to a school.
4 years?
For 4 years, yeah.
Wow. So Alex Michael Ramos got 6 years. Richard Preston got 4 years. You got 8 years. Who else?
And then Daniel Borden, he's in here. He hasn't been sentenced yet. He's going to be sentenced at the first of the month, I believe, of October.
How old is he? How old is Daniel Borden?
I want to say he's like 20.
Wow.
21.
You were 20.
No, I think I don't think he's 21 yet.
He's not even 21. How do you know how many years Daniel Borden is facing?
We all have the same charge. What they have us on is this. It's called concerted action, and so they're saying, although I proved in court that I kicked him in the stomach twice.
Yeah.
That I was liable for every wound that he had on him, and we proved in court that half those were fake.
Right.
That he made enough to get money on GoFundMe, and but the jury didn't want to listen to that. We're all faced with malicious wounding through concerted action. So although we didn't have malice in our hearts, whoever did have malice and inflicted it on them, our actions in concert pretty much makes us liable. But I look up the definition of concerted action, and it says pretty much a group effort that was agreed upon to do an illegal act. So it's a conspiracy charge.
It sounds like conspiracy,
like we knew each
right?
other before.
Right. But you didn't know Richard Preston or Alex Michael Ramos?
I don't know any of them. Preston is from Maryland, Ramos is from Georgia, I'm from Arkansas, and Borden's from Ohio.
Wow. Incredible. So you got more time than any of them, right? I mean, you got time. You got more.
And I did the least amount of damage. Didn't have a weapon.
Yeah.
And see, this is what happens in my eyes. And they said they were the most afraid because in my event, my case was the most defendable because it was a me and DeAndre Harris altercation, and a bunch of other people came and asserted themselves. So whatever they did, they can spin however they want. But in my case, I wasn't acting in concert with anyone because he walked into me.
Right. It's incredible, man.
They were afraid, but they could have convicted me of us trying to assassinate the president. I mean, that jury would have said guilty to no matter what they asked, because all they knew was I was the big bad wolf, and my judge and my prosecutor from my town wouldn't lie to me.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. It's just shocking to me that you got 8 freaking years for such a non-event as this, and they blew it way out of proportion in order to promote their anti-white agenda. It's obviously they've got an agenda, and they're trying to use you as the boogeyman. I think because you're very well spoken. I mean, to be 22, you're probably 23 now, is from what I'm told. But you're very well spoken. You're very opinionated, and you have a good head on your shoulders. I can tell. I'm amazed that you maintained your sanity. How long have you been in prison? What was your arrest date, if you don't mind me asking?
I was arrested on October 10th, so 15 days from my birthday.
Wow, you'll be in prison nearly a year in the next month.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And then, I've got the appeal process in the works. We're waiting on a transcript or whatever. But, from what I gather, only like 98% of appeals in Virginia get thrown in the garbage pretty much. So that's always nice.
Yeah. Wow. Did the jury get a chance to see DeAndre Harris swinging that flashlight at that? Do we know the old man's name? Yep.
His name is Harold Cruz.
Okay. Harold Cruz. Okay.
So the jury saw that, and we showed the video, and he said, "Well, they ambushed us." and my lawyer said, is this the ambush that you're showing? And it's the picture that you showed me of the that you sent me of them grabbing his flight, him smashing him in the head. He said, these 5 of you on this old man, is that the ambush you were talking about? And he got mad and was actually cussing on the stand.
Wow.
And he was very just he was being aggressive to my lawyer under and the judge just said let's sit there and let him take it. And then I get up there and they're like, oh well, this guy's obviously lying, and I'm like, come on, really? Like, why would I attack somebody that I don't even know for no reason? And you can see in the video that he runs at me, and it's like I didn't seek him out, and I thought for a long time that they were going to say that I tried to attack him because he was black, but maybe they just didn't think it was going to stick. I don't know why else they would assume I would just attack some person I've never met in my life.
Yeah, but you
had malice. You went to attack him. Why?
So the jury did get to see that video, but it sounded like maybe the courtroom was so tainted and so I don't know, manipulated maybe is the proper word, that it just didn't make any.
This is what I think.
Yep.
This is what I think. I think that the jury wanted they're a liberal crowd. They're based off of emotion. They were like, we don't know much about Mr. Goodwin. And there was a guy named Ian Shapiro that did from the Washington Post. He interviewed some of my jurors, and he did an article on him. But we don't really know much about him. And I don't think that, I'm not sure. I don't know about if this is true or not. But I don't think they really saw the sentence terms when they were given my jury instructions. So I think they were like, okay, look, malicious wounding, yeah. It's pretty much an attempted murder charge. I don't really think they knew that, except for some of them, because my mom said whenever the jurors left, there were jurors crying when they left, because they just recommended me 10 years. But they said we give him 10 years, but they asked the judge, can we suspend his sentence? And the judge was like, well, you can you can suggest whatever you want, but I'm not inclined to take it. But they said we give him 10 years or the option to suspend, with a $20,000 fine, community service, and empathy training. And so when I get to sentencing, the judge says, oh, well, I'm going to follow the jury's recommendation. I'm going to give you 10 years, suspend you, give you a $5,000 fine, 5 years probation, and 20 years good behavior.
But the jury recommended 10 years in prison?
Or the option of a suspended sentence.
Oh, I see. So
and he was like, oh, well, let me give him all of that, all of the above.
Incredible. I mean, this is insanity, Jacob, man. My heart breaks for you. What can people do to help? I know we're running out of time. What do you want people just to help get your story out? Is there anything else they can do?
I don't know. That's a good question. I always like letters. I don't know. I'm still in shock from it all,
Yeah. Well, we're going to do our best to make sure people hear the truth. And if you want to call back anytime, always feel free to call back. And if there's any, I think we just lost him. Dang it. I got to tell you, when I first heard about this, I didn't know the full story and I didn't know what was going on. But now that I've talked to Jacob, I talked to his parents, it is an absolute travesty of justice in America that Jacob Scott Goodwin is sitting in prison 8 years. It should bother you that this young man, who's very well spoken, did not have a criminal record, gets in an altercation that he did not start, and we have allowed mainstream media to manipulate the entire country into believing that Jacob needs to be in prison for 8 years. Our criminal justice system is satanic, and God has called us to be light and salt of the earth. And if you didn't hear this young man speak from his heart and tell the truth about what just happened, and you got DeAndre Harris, who's driving around town with loaded AR-15s and swinging flashlights at people, and he gets $166,000 on GoFundMe. And he's calling back. Let's continue the conversation. Let's continue.
Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Jacob Scott Goodwin,
an inmate at Albemarle, Charlottesville Regional Jail. Your account balance is $8.50. $1.70. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
No, we got rudely cut off by the satanic prison phone system. So Jacob, here's the deal, man. I know you've got your religious beliefs or your beliefs about the world, and I have my religious beliefs. As I've mentioned to you before, I'm a Bible-believing follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. The King James Bible is the rule book on how I live my life, but it bothers me a great deal that you're in prison. And after hearing, from your parents and hearing from you, realizing how wicked our mainstream media is, I'm going to do everything I can. There's a guy by the name of Daryl McClanahan who put me in contact with your parents, and he's kind of a friend of our prison ministry. But if any time you want to call and just yell or scream or rant, I don't know what you got to do to maintain your sanity in this situation, but it's absolutely wrong. I want you to know, though, there are people that care, there are people that still have a brain, and you're not the only innocent people in prison. I've got a whole website full of innocent people in prison, and our criminal justice system, I believe, is satanic and run by the devil, and that judge and that prosecutor and that whole mainstream media that has done this, I believe they're going to be held responsible for the lies and the whole wickedness that's going on. And anyway, I don't know what to say. I wish that I had more to offer, but I do believe that God will intervene.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, man, and what you're doing is awesome. Truly, just that someone's actually doing something like this, it's really just awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm going to point to God and say that God has put this burden, and He should put it in all of anybody that loves liberty, anybody that loves justice, anybody that loves fairness, should be able to look at this situation and say that DeAndre Harris getting mainstream media attention and painted as a poor victim in this situation and getting $166,000, and you and 3 others, getting 8 years in prison, 6 years in prison, 4 years in prison. We don't even know what's going to happen to Daniel Borden, but
I think they're going to go after him the worst because he was the one that looked the worst.
I see. My goodness. Yeah, I guess he must be a white white boy then. He must be a white boy like you if they're going to go after him really hard. So
yeah, he is.
Okay.
So I just see them going after them more because I don't know, for some reason apparently some guy who was there wrote a whole article about him and what he saw. They didn't really have anything on me. They try to pull Facebook posts on people and stuff, and I didn't have anything like that. I was the first one there. I was like, look, I thought I was attacked. What did you think of the NBC thing?
Oh God. So Daniel, I saw the whole thing. I thought it was the biggest hit piece of crap propaganda. I have no respect for the individuals that put that together. It painted your parents as, we'll just look at the title, A Mother Turns to Hate. And then they bring up your views and your father's views on the Holocaust, and it's like, what the hell does the Holocaust have anything to do whatsoever? It doesn't make any sense.
This Asian guy, Ed, so I call him up, and he's like, want to do a phone review, right?
Yeah.
So he becomes infatuated with the Holocaust. And
Yeah.
I literally, made a statement. I said, look, I think that, I don't think that the idea of ethnopolitics are a bad thing. I think that, if we're going to play ethnopolitics, as groups are, La Raza, Black Lives Matter, you have people like Sarah Jung, who works for the, New York Times. You have all these people playing ethnopolitics. That's fine. But whenever, someone who is white or, someone who is perceived as white does it, it's a bad thing. And so he just goes, well, last time that happened, the World War II happened in the Holocaust. And I said, so you're telling me every time that white people get together and talk about their issues, we're immediately going to turn into mass murderers? And I was like, that's anti-white.
Yeah.
So we're all racist by nature.
That's right.
And he was like, and I hear he didn't put that on the interview because I pretty much smashed him. I mean, I pointed out how anti-white he was in his own thinking.
Yeah. Amen. Oh, amen. Totally. And the whole thing was a hit piece. No doubt about it. And it's very anti-white. I mean, you can have Black Lives Matter. What if we started a White Lives Matter? Or what if we had a White Miss America?
Right.
You know, or what if we had National Association for the Advancement of White People? I mean, and they'll say, well, oh, you guys have had advancements and white privilege your whole life. I would say that's BS. I mean, I got a website full of Caucasian men that are innocent that never had any white privilege when they went before the criminal justice system, and the criminal justice system is the most racist. And here's the deal. It's feel free to share whatever's on your heart, Jacob. But I got to tell you, I believe that we live in a police state, and I believe that that the police use lethal force on people of all color. And I'll be one to stand up. I'll be one to stand up to say I don't think the police should have done that to that black man. He wasn't armed. He wasn't posing any serious threat, and they shouldn't have killed the black guy. So there are times when I will align with a Black Lives Matter issue, but they are so racist because they only think about their own ethnicity. Black Lives Matter. I got many examples that I can give where white people were killed by the police state, and nobody cares about those folks, you know? So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, there, just like a couple months ago, there was this old Vietnam vet guy who had an Asian wife. They come to this guy's house. He's got hearing aids. Some, disenfranchised youth from the hood comes into his house, and he shoots him. The cops get there. They yell at him, we're coming in, put the gun down. He can't hear him because he was in Vietnam and, burn out his eardrums. They bust in and shoot the guy. I'm like, and you didn't see the white community riot and burn Ferguson.
Exactly. And we should have. There's 30 minutes from my house, Jacob, there's a guy by the name of Graham Dyer. He was a teenager. He was on a bad drug trip. Should he have been on drugs? No, he shouldn't have been on drugs, but he was. Okay, so they handcuff him, and then they put him in the back of the police car. He's no threat to anybody. He's already handcuffed, and he's just tripping out in the back of the police car on his bad drug trip. The police on video, Jacob, hold a taser gun to his testicles until he dies. The parents don't get the video,
wow.
and the parents don't even get the video until like 5 or 6 years later, and they realize that this cop had tasered their son in the balls until he died. Now, did the white community rise up and go protest the police department and march around? They don't. I got to tell you, as much as I like my own race, I'm very disappointed in our ability to stand up for one another. It's sickening.
Honestly, we are.
It's sickening. It's sickening how docile we are.
Before you occupy any populace, you have to demasculate the population of men.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. That's why if I would have went fetal that day, if I would have fell down and went in the fetal position and took an ass beating like the white man was 4 feet away, who was getting beat 5-on-1, if I would have been like him, where's he right now? They went through hell and high water to catch me. Yeah. Did they reach out to this guy? They have his name. They have all the guys that beat him. Yeah. But they're after me, who defended myself.
Yeah, we got a country full. Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right, Jacob. You're exactly right. If it's only because you stand up and try to defend somebody or get involved and try to make a difference, and obviously you can tell that you're very educated, you're very well spoken. They don't like you. You're a threat to them because you're a white man and you pose a threat. And so our criminal justice system is incredibly anti-white. I do believe that, and I've got a whole website of innocent people to prove that. And I believe we live in a police state that goes across all colors. And if the black folks...
This has opened my eyes.
Yeah.
This definitely has. Before this, I was throw them in jail and, I was a throw them in jail. And there's people out there that deserve to go to prison and stuff. And when I came in here and I, just talked to people and saw, that there's a guy in here for violating a restraining order on his wife. And she got back with him. They were married for like a year, 2 years. They got an idea we're together. He walked into a courthouse, and they were like, well, you violated your restraining order. Arrested him, gave him 90 days in jail. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's ridiculous.
Have you heard this?
I do believe we are. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry, Jacob. Have you heard the statistic that America has 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's prison population?
That's crazy.
It's true. It's true. I've heard many politicians repeat that. We make money off putting people in prison, and they send people to prison for as long as they possibly can, and it's insanity. And I used to be like you too, man. I was like hard on criminals. Like if you do the crime, you do the time, you know. And but now I've woken up and I'm like, no, this is getting too insane. We've got to fix our criminal justice system.
We do, and that's actually a leftist standpoint, you know. And I am not a neocon or stuck in the two-wing party system mindset at all. I have some left views. I'm very I like nature. I like, I wouldn't really say a militant vegan naturist or whatever, but I do believe in not destroying the earth and treating animals with respect. But I also, I believe in traditional values. I defend the ideas of Western Christian civilization.
Yeah.
So I'm a middleman, really. I see that both sides are just puppets. You can't win with either side of the two-wing system.
No, amen. And there's it's funny that you mentioned about treating animals right, because I just read a verse in Psalms not too long ago about how a righteous man will care and consider for his beast, but a brutal man will, treat it harshly or something. Anyway, it's just funny that you would mention that topic. But, also the for-profit prison systems. I think you read the book, The Kennel. Ken Hovind. Yeah, Ken Hovind wrote that. And, judges and prosecutors have stock in the prison system. And so there's like a huge, a conflict of interest when they send somebody to prison, because they actually make money when the prisons fill up. And so they have an incentive, a financial incentive to keep the prisons full. And in your case, because they had to have somebody, I guess, be the sacrificial lamb for the events that day, even though you had nothing to do with James Fields Jr. and the death of Heather Heyer.
That's what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
They spent $912K that day. They wrecked a police helicopter. They crashed it because they were escorting the governor. A woman died. Every news media in the whole world turned their eye to Charlottesville and saw the corrupt and moral degradation that was here. And they're just frankly mad about it. The bureaucrats here are mad about it. They're like, whoever we're going to get, we're going to take it out on them. Whoever we can get our hands on, we're gonna take out all of our anger and aggression for them making us spend all this money and blowing all this up on them. And we're trying to set an example, and that's proof of bias. I mean, if you're when I went to court, they said, the prosecutor said, well, we need to base what Mr. Preston got 2 days ago in his trial on what we should give Mr. Goodwin. We should use that as the floor. Now, how is that even constitutional?
Yeah.
A man who was in a different crime, a different situation, different time of day, we should base his charges on what we give this man. And the only thing that puts us together was we were at the event that day. We didn't know each other. We were not involved in any crime together. They literally were just like, well, they're both right wingers that came to our town. Let's add their charges up.
Well, you said it earlier in the conversation. What I like to do in order to determine if a situation is fair is turn the table around 180 degrees. And what if we had a bunch of black dudes in a city, doing different things, and we just grouped all them together. And we said, well, they all must be together because they're all, black and they all have similar ideas. I mean, it's the stupidest, insane thing in the world, but they can get away with it because the colors are opposite from, they can do this to white people because we're docile. But I think the black community, one thing I do admire very much about them is they stand up for one another when the cops come after them, unlike us.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like it's a sin to the middle class in the 90s and the 2000s. They would rather slave away and hide in suburbia and not worry about the problems.
Yeah.
They who own small businesses would pass liberal laws and things of that nature. And, I'm a white boy from the South. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't have any sort of dysfunctional attitude towards blacks. I've lived my whole life around them. It's not like I can't live around them. It's not like I'm afraid of them. So if they really think I'm this skinhead, person who wants to murder anybody, I don't think it's the right shade. They're barking the wrong tree because that's really not me.
1 minute remaining.
Yeah.
The biggest thing here that I wanted that I really want to try to accomplish through all this is to stay the same person. You know, I don't know what I'm facing, what 7 years and 8 years in prison is going to do to me, but I want to try to keep my humanity and stay the same person through all this, you know. And I can't say that I will, but I'm going to try, you know.
Well, you know, we often talk about when boys go off to war, you know, the family hugs them at the train station, but when they get on that train and they see the horrific realities, you know, it can change a man, and it does change a man. But we're going to advocate people write you a letter, Jacob, and write you letters from all over the country, and we're going to try to get your story out. It's absolutely travesty, and you are in our prayers.
Thank you. And if you give me a message anytime on the commissary or on the little kiosk or whatever, and I'll get it, and I'll give you a call back in a little while.
You bet. Okay.
In a couple days.
Yeah, that sounds good. Anytime you have a message you want, amen. Anytime you have a message you want to get out, you know, we'll be here to help, and we'll be praying. God bless you, Jacob.
Thank you, man.
All right, that was Jacob Scott Goodwin. It's always difficult when you're having these conversations because, you know, the thing cuts you off and you're trying to, like, you know, as best you can get in all your talking points, and it costs like $4 a call, probably even more than that, actually. And his parents have been putting up with this for a year, so I know they've been paying for a lot of money on legal fees and phone calls and everything else. But in any event, you guys heard this young man speak, right? I want you to go to the website, to his webpage, and I want you to educate yourself about this man, and I'm asking you to care, right? That's what the Bible demands of us. The two greatest commandments that we were given to by the Lord is to love and seek the Lord God Almighty with all our heart, soul, mind, understanding, and strength. And the second greatest commandment, like unto it, and hang on, is to love our neighbor as ourself. And on both of these hang all the law of the prophets. And so Jacob has been unjustly incarcerated, I believe, for 8 years. I don't think that he should have got 8 years in prison. I think it's a satanic criminal system. And I just hope you take the time to, you know, educate yourself about this young man. He's only 22 years old at the time of the crime, and I don't think he deserves 8 years in prison. And I know his mother is broken. She misses her son, and I know his father would do anything to get him out of there. And we can't let Southern Poverty Law Center and Democracy Now! Paint this picture to demonize Jacob Scott Goodwin. And it's our duty to stand up and to do what's right. And I hope you'll stand with Jacob. I hope you'll reach out to his parents. His parents have made their address public. So if you want to write his parents an encouraging letter, their address is on the website because they said that, you know, we could publish their address. So please write them a letter. And if you can help Jacob in any way, I'm not a legal person. I don't get involved in legal crap. But if you do and you have other ideas on that might be able to help Jacob with his appeal or get his story out there, you know, please help. That's all we're asking for. Please help. Please write Jacob a letter. Please write his parents a letter. Do what the Lord has called you to do as salt and light agents of the earth to bring justice and to do what's right. Thank you for your time. Also, we need to expose the evildoers. God bless. Bye-bye.